Danny Gonzales, defensive coordinator, San Diego State, now joins us live. Coach, really appreciate your time. We're getting ready for the big game tomorrow night. Let me ask you this to start, though. Earlier we were talking, and this is because Memphis, one of the teams that us Aztecs fans are keeping an eye on and kind of rooting against last night. They scored 42 points in the second half of a football game. And I look around at college football, and I'm like, half the teams, you guys aren't one of them, but half the teams, I'm like, are they even trying to play defense when I look at the Big 12? So let us in. Like in college football, it feels like in pro football, defense is a little bit more of a priority. What's your thought on that?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on, guys. Glad to be here. And yeah, I know. You know what? Everybody that talks about the game football days wants to see points, light up the scoreboard, basketball on grass, throw it around, see how fast we can get down the field, and that's kind of the climate. Now that is the 180-degree opposite of what we feel around here. We want to play smash-mouth football and play hard-nosed defense and try and get after folks. But that seems to be the culture of the way football's going.
You know, Danny, as we were talking about this earlier, you see a lot of games go that way, high scoring, not a lot of defense, spread offense. Is it more difficult to recruit great defensive players out of high school because more of the better athletes want to play offense and want to be a part of these spread offenses and get the numbers and the stats? Are you finding that with these couch conversations you're talking to lesser athletes now than you were maybe 10 years ago?
Well, I think the thing that we've done a pretty good job around here is identifying just football players. Doesn't matter what they do in high school. I mean, we'll take a running back and put him in the defensive backfield and see if he can tackle. We'll put a DB back there and send him downfield to see if he can catch the ball. So we just kind of try and place the guys that we find where they best suit us. Now, are guys wanting to score points and have their name in the paper for scoring touchdowns and all that stuff? Absolutely. I mean, the self-gratification of this era is getting more prevalent. But I think if you find good football players, they just want to play the game because they love it. And running into people is part of what makes football so fun. So if you can find some aggressive kids that like to run into each other, they'll play anywhere you want if they get a chance to play the game.
And there's no question you have plenty of those floating around the Aztec roster. I mean, that is a physical football team. I've gotten to see this up close and personal at the games and practices. You guys run the 3-3-5 defense. It's what Rocky brought to the Aztecs. You're now in charge as the defensive coordinators. You talked about position versatility. I see that in defense as well with a story like Cameron Kelly transitioning from a safety position to cornerback. Is versatility the most important aspect of the athlete that you guys bring into this program?
You know, that's a great point. Versatility is huge. I mean, they have to, well, first and foremost, they have to be aggressive and be willing to go smack somebody. Then we can kind of find a place for them and put them anywhere. If they don't want to touch anybody, I mean, they're going to be standing on the sidelines next to us watching the game. Now, the point of being able to move them in and out, I mean, what Cameron Kelly's done is credit to him, because that's a hard adjustment going from inside where it's really noisy. You got to make a lot of tackles and get down in there to being left on an island by yourself. You're one-on-one. Find out who's the better guy that night. And we're not going to give you a lot of help. We're going to blitz everybody to see if we can get the ball out of the quarterback's hand. But you got to cover and make a play. And so far, all but one game, those two guys have been great. Now, Cam is getting better and better each week. He's got the prototypical NFL corner body. I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds, can run, can move his hips. So what he's done moving from the inside to the outside has been just good for him.
Danny Gonzales, the defensive coordinator for the Aztecs, joining us, Mark and Rich Show. So, listen, you guys talked a little bit about the turnovers there. It's been kind of a staple of the defense the entire time you've been there. I think the fans look at turnovers and think, that's kind of a fluky thing. You can't count on it. But you guys seem to count on it. How do you coach that? Is that something that is a part of an actual function in your practices?
Well, I think a lot of that breeds to the culture around here. I mean, we practice different than most people do in the country, and that's a testament to Coach Long. We allow our kids to run into each other and be physical. Now, the stuff that we do, we don't do any magical turnover circuit. I mean, some of those things are fluky. The ball bounces your way, you get lucky. But I think where we've been good, we play fast and aggressive on defense. I mean, we coach effort around here as coaches harder than we coach scheme, harder than we coach anything else. And along with the effort is being violent to the ball. When those guys run into each other, the turnovers are usually caused by the second or third guy in, or the turnovers are caused on tip interceptions to the second or third guy to the ball. So we've always got guys around the pile. We've always got guys involved in the tackle, meaning 2, 3, or 4, and we preach to them all the time. The more you hit them, the more you get after them. By the third and fourth quarter, those balls are going to be lying on the ground. We got to get on the ball, secure it, create a short field for the offense, and the culture, those guys believe in it. So and we don't do stuff on the sideline like you'll see teams with championship belts and all that stuff. It's our job to produce turnovers. It's our job to give short fields for the offense. So when we don't do that, I mean, that's a failure of part of our scheme. And over the last 2 weeks, we haven't. So it's time to get back to our ways of knocking them to the ground and getting that ball to come out.
You know, that is true. You guys show a lot of effort on film, especially defensively. I mean, really all over the field, special teams, offense as well. But there is scheme involved. And to me, when I look at this, my overall prognosis of the defense, if you don't mind me sharing with you, is you guys do roll the dice. You're aggressive. The scheme is, let's get after this quarterback, because the bet is, and the gamble is, that teams are going to beat us deep less often than we're going to factor the quarterback. Am I accurate here?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, we're gonna, and our guys know it. We're gonna take chances. We're gonna pin our ears back. We're gonna take the idea that we're gonna stone people. We're gonna try and shut them down. There's no bend but don't break philosophy around here. It's let's get after them. Let's stone their tail and make sure that our offense has the ball more than theirs does. And if we get after them, we get 3 and outs. And our offense, the way we pound the ball, they move it down the field and take time off the clock. That's a good formula for winning around here.
Danny Gonzales joining us, defensive coordinator, Sdsu. Danny, if I may ask, how old are Cole, Jake, Chloe, and Abby?
Well, we've got quite a spread. Cole is he's 19. Okay. Jake is 17. Cole goes here to San Diego State. 17-year-old Jake, he goes to Mount Carmel. He's a junior. And then we have a kindergartner, 5-year-old Chloe, and then we have a 3-year-old Abby. So we've got a pretty big spectrum at the house. My wife does a phenomenal job, and she's in charge of those 4. And let me tell you what, they don't get out of line very often with her.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. I said, you've got 75, 80 guys to take care of when you're at work, but then there's 4 when you get home, and it sounds like you're almost playing ping pong back and forth between those who need you to cook for them and then those who have real life problems as young adults. Like, what's harder?
Well, I tell you what, I've got a heck of a lot easier job than my wife does, because there's not a second in the day that she doesn't have somebody pulling on her pants, pulling on her shirt. Mommy, help me this. Mommy, give me this. I've got a lot easier. I go to work and it's vacation. She never gets that time off. So I'm a very spoiled man. She's unbelievable. She does a great job with the kids. Those 2 little girls, they can do no wrong in Daddy's eyes. So she's got to be the disciplinarian with them. My 2 older boys, I get after them just like I do our kids here. So, but she's the one who keeps the ship going.
You know, Danny, and it makes me think the life of the coach. I mean, that is a tough road to hoe sometimes. I mean, long hours. Some people talk about it like, I'm going to put them all to sleep because I'm going to stay up all night. I'm going to set up my cot in the office. What's it like working under Rocky Long? Does he keep you guys in prison during the season, or do you actually get to go home and spend time with the family?
I think that's one of the best things about working for Coach Long. From back when I got in this business 20 years ago, you heard just terrible stories, horrific stories about coaches didn't get to see their kids, didn't get to go home. Coach Long has 2 daughters of his own that he was able to coach in Little League T-ball when they played when they were young, watch all their volleyball and basketball. So we get an opportunity as long as we have our work done. Coach Long is not a micromanager. He doesn't tell you how to do it. He just makes sure you get your job done. So we have plenty of time. We get off the practice field. I come in and watch real quick. I can get home, spend time with my kids, see them in the evening, and then on weekends they're allowed to be all the family functions for the games and everything. So we've got a pretty good deal here, better than most places. Now I get up at 4:30, get here in the office so that I can do all my work that I might miss from 6 to 9 in the evening. But that's the best part about him is, hey, get your job done. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just make sure your guys perform on the field.
Good stuff, Danny. By the way, I'm sure you're aware of this. You know the story with Trey Lomax's dad, who's a special ed teacher, and he's got the student that writes him notes every week. And he wrote the note last week leading into Boise State. And he was asking each and every one of those defenders to focus on fumbles and interceptions. And then it didn't happen. So I want to reiterate that fumbles and interceptions this week. Okay?
Oh, you know what, Trey? what a great deal for him, and he shared him and Cam. They show the Twitter feeds and those notes and stuff. They had a little meeting after Tuesday. I'm sure that was probably mentioned from him because we don't want to let anybody down. I mean, the whole city of San Diego, we were fired up for the group that came out last week to watch us. We hope they come back tonight or tomorrow night, and we give them something exciting to cheer for because that was a great environment. We're going to give some turnovers. We're going to get some interceptions, some fumbles, and hopefully we'll be swarming and partying together in the end zone.
Fantastic. Hey, Coach, thank you, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on, and go Aztecs.